All right, we're live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the BBL Show. Tony Camper here. And today, our special guest is a longtime barbell lifer, Barbeast extraordinaire, um, the one and only Gina Cavaliero. Did I say that right?
You did.
Nice. I'm pretty good
Hi.
at that.
It was
How
pretty
you
good.
been?
I've been great. How you been doing?
Not too bad. Doing some traveling, so a little hectic, but um, it's good to have you on the show. Long time coming. Like I said, Gina's been she's been in the group for she's been in the Barbell Life for some time now. I want to say a little bit over a year. But one thing about Gina is when she got to the group, she hit the ground running. Like she just instantly became part of the community. Um, you know, she was posting, she was helping people out. You know, she just really embraced the Barbell Life, and everybody embraced her as well. So that's one thing about you that really stuck out, and I appreciate that. And it's great to actually have you on the show. I know you got a lot to talk about. Um, Real quick, Larry isn't with us right now. He had to log off. He's gonna log back in. That's my guru. He usually mans the controls. So it's just gonna be me and Gina for a few minutes, but we
Like
get
it's crazy.
yeah. Let's take advantage of it while we can. Um, anyway, so talking about the barbell life, how did you end up, coming across the barbell life? How did you get in the group?
Yeah, I was introduced to it. I think he's your cousin. Um, I know
Tom.
him as Tommy Fish Dude, um, Tommy D. So he introduced me to you and the Barbell Life. He said, "Hey, you need to meet this guy Tony, my cousin, is it, or some relation,
He's
right?"
he's my wife's grandfather-in-law. So
Oh,
my wife's grandma is married to him.
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so no blood relation, but yeah,
Oh, that explains the ab issue we were discussing the other
yeah. It's not
day.
no genetics there.
No genetics. So, yeah, Tommy said that we needed to meet, that we had a lot in common, and he was dead on. And,
Yeah, definitely.
so became a part of the Barbell Life, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. It's a community, a family, people after my own heart into the same things I'm doing. And yeah, it was a great place to jump in, and I definitely did quickly.
Yeah, you definitely fit right in. I mean, every now and then we'll have people, since the group's been around, we'll have people that just pop out of nowhere and just become part of the crew. And then some people kind of take a little while to kind of get, used to everything or whatever. But yeah, you were definitely one of the ones that just kind of popped on the scene and just hit the ground running. So
And then we're hard to get rid of, too.
yeah, never that though. But shout out to Tommy for setting that up. Yeah, he actually had told me about you, and he's like, yeah, I got this friend out here. She's really into bodybuilding and eating good and all this stuff. And I know you're into that stuff. And I was like, yeah, send her my way. And then we became Facebook friends, and then I added you, and then the rest is history. So great to have you in the family. Um, so barbell life, you know what that means. Basically, lifting weights or running or doing whatever you can to, improve your body, your health, how you feel about yourself, things like that. Just self improvement through fitness.
Right.
Um, Now, on that note, how did you become, how did you get introduced to this lifestyle?
Well, I've always kind of been in and out of the gym my whole life, but I never really embraced it as a lifestyle. So I was, yo-yo dieter. I mean, a lot of folks are. So basically I would get heavy, I'd put on a lot of weight, and it was time to go back to the gym and clean up the way I ate. And, finally about, I'd say probably about 3 years ago, my health started to be impacted by my unhealthy lifestyle. Wasn't eating well. I worked a lot. I was stressed out. I slept maybe 2 to 3 hours a night. Um, and, lo and behold, I all of a sudden had high blood pressure. I weighed like 160 pounds, 5 foot tall, 160
I was
pounds.
to say because
It
you're a
was a
little
lot.
thing, so that's
Yeah,
that's
So, I ended up resigning from a nonprofit organization I had created and decided to go to the gym. I got back from a conference I had developed, got home, and the next day I went to the gym and joined Gold. And I knew that if I went to the doctor, I would get a script or probably several, for high blood pressure, and I didn't want that.
A bunch of Band-Aids, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't going to be the fix. So I just kind of took things into my own hands, and I started exercising, and I started eating clean religiously. So it was probably a 360 degree. Did you say 360 or 180 degree turn? And I was scared. I mean, things that I did before, all of a sudden I was winded. I'm like, whoa. I was 44. I'm like, this isn't good. I was like 130 over 98 was my average blood pressure. I'm like, I got to do something. So it worked, and it worked quick. I started seeing drastic improvements. So that was all I needed to do, and to tell me that this is something I need to do to change my life if I want to be around.
Yeah, a lot of people, either they have that moment of clarity where they're just like, you know what, I need to make a change, or it's gradual. But yeah, you sound like you were just like, you know what, I'm done. And then the next day, got right into it and changed your life, which is not many people do it that way,
Yeah, and it did. I'm kind of like one of those black and white people. I have a hard time finding the gray, so it's either all or nothing. And so I jumped into the gym, which I've always loved lifting, so that was easy for me to do. I build muscle really quick, so I see results really quickly. So I think that's a huge motivator for me. So it was easy to grab hold of and to make that change. And like you said, sometimes people need some type of catalyst or shakeup. And the one is that heart disease does run in your family, and you're headed that direction. That was enough to tell me I needed to do something different.
Yeah, I think my moment was I got out of a bad breakup, and I was depressed, and just I had all kinds of stuff going on, and I was like, I need something because I'm stressed out and I'm unhappy and blah blah blah. And I mean, the gym was my savior, and it's one of those things where once I started, I was hooked and never went back. And it sounds like your situation's the same. Now let's see. This was a few years ago, you said, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me backtrack real quick. You mentioned you gave up your business. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know it had to do with food, and that's a big part of this lifestyle.
Yep. Well, I'm actually still doing what I did, but in the course of developing the business I have, which is an aquaponic farm, I also created a nonprofit organization called the Aquaponics Association. Early on when I started my business, I also started this nonprofit, which I didn't realize how much work that would be. So I essentially was running and developing this new business, this young business, at the same time I was developing this new young nonprofit org. So that's what I gave up, was the nonprofit organization. Okay. I stepped down from chairing it after 2 years. So I could focus more on my business, and then I could also focus on myself, because, you definitely have to find that work-life balance. I would say my balance is probably skewed towards my bodybuilding lifestyle now more than anything. But that's also somewhat of eventually I hope to be my work. As I said, I'm currently an aquaponic farmer. Doing that a little over 6 years now. So it's kind of all come together. I have this passion that's around clean food and eating clean and talking to people about the dangers of genetically modified organisms and chemically infused foods and fertilizers and pesticides and all that garbage that's on food. So that really, it worked well with becoming an aquaponic farmer, because what we do is we grow organically. There's no chemicals, there's no fertilizers. We actually raise fish, and they create fertilizer for the plants we grow. So that just worked out really well. So it really kind of went hand in hand with my passion around clean food. So this is kind of like just another progression in that same direction, because I really want to get into being a life coach and a personal trainer where I can help people not only with their fitness aspect, but also around what do I eat? I don't even, people don't know what to buy at the store. Then they don't know how to prepare it, and they don't know what those clean and healthy choices are. So I want to be able to do all that together to help folks, find and live a healthy lifestyle.
Well, it's pretty cool that you actually have, a lot of experience in that field. Can you explain aquaponics a little further? Like, because a lot of people might not fully grasp. I'm hearing an echo. It's bugging me. Let me see something. All right. So a lot of people might not fully grasp how aquaponics works. I've seen it. Tommy was doing it in Colorado, so I saw his setup, and it's really neat. So if you could kind of like explain that a little better for our folks at home.
Yeah, and that's actually how I met Tommy was through aquaponics. So essentially, aquaponics is to give it something easy to relate to. There's hydroponic growing, which is soilless cultivation of plants, right? Instead of growing plants in the dirt, with hydroponics, you grow them in water, and generally it's some type of chemically based fertilizer. There are some organic hydroponic nutrients as well, but it's grown in water without soil. So aquaponics kind of goes in another step, and rather than using those hydroponic or chemical-based nutrients, it actually uses fish. So we raise a lot of koi fish. You can also do a food fish, and then you have both protein and veggies that you're growing. But then it's in a self-contained recirculating ecosystem. It uses like less than 10% of the water that traditional soil ag uses, so it's incredibly sustainable. And it grows completely chemical-free food. The beauty of it is that because of the fish being present in the system, you can't use chemicals, whether they're pesticides, fertilizers, or anything like that, because you'll kill your fish. You kill the engine of the whole system. So it's unique in agriculture in the sense that you've got both protein and veggies. So we see a lot of these types of systems being developed in third world countries. It can be done in a desert. Could be done on a rooftop because you don't need soil, right? So you can basically have containers and you can grow food anywhere. So when I stumbled on aquaponics years ago, I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to do this, and it's really a neat solution for local food resources. What we focus on mostly is selling to restaurants. There's a lot of restaurants that look at the farm to table and they want local sourced food.
I just left one just now.
Yeah, so it's about getting fresh food out to their customers and getting clean food out, and so it's been awesome. I love the concept, and I love that you can grow something that's healthy and clean, and sell it reasonably priced too. There's not a lot of overhead in it.
Yeah, because it's going off the fish basically, right?
Yep.
I've heard of hydroponics, but aquaponics was kind of new to me, and it seems like aquaponics isn't very mainstream. Like, there's not a lot of people doing it. Is that right?
Yeah, I agree. It's grown a lot in the time that I've been doing it. I'd love to see it grow more. And the neat thing is it can be done at any level. It doesn't just have to be at a farm scale size. You can do a small backyard system. You could even have something as small as like Tupperwares and on your kitchen counter with some goldfish and grow some garden herbs, right?
Wow.
And so it can be any scale. It can be small. It can be huge. So people can take some of that food security and food sovereignty into their own hands by having these types of systems. If you live up north where you have cold weather, you can do it inside in your basement. You can grow food year round. So I think it's something that's gaining more and more traction. And part of the reason I developed that nonprofit was to help advance aquaponics and educate people about it. People are kind of like, well, what the heck is that? And then they're like, oh God, then the vegetables must taste like fish. No, it doesn't.
It's no different than soil from a cow, right? I mean, it's the same
right.
Logic.
Exactly. Yeah, and it actually tastes better because it's clean food. Most of what we eat when we get in the grocery store that's conventionally raised food, it doesn't really taste like food,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's because it's got chemicals that it's made. The majority of its life and production is being generated by a chemical, not by nature.
And that's another another thing I love about you is like you share that same mindset that I do, because I'm really big into like organic, non-GMO, free range, grass fed, all those things, more like natural foods that, like it used to be back in the day. And it's funny because I saw this meme and it says, why do they call organic and instead of calling it food? Because that's what it used to be. It has a fancy label, and food that's dumped with all kinds of chemicals and pesticides and all this other stuff is called regular food. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And they won't even label what's in it. I mean, they're trying to get out of that part of it too.
Well, that's a good thing to talk about, because you mentioned GMOs, genetically modified organisms. A lot of people still don't even know about those. Don't even know what it is. I ask people, and they're like, "What's that?" And not to knock them, because it's not a very widespread thing. In a sense, it's kind of kept hush hush. But yeah, I mean, I found out about it, I want to say maybe 3 years ago, something like that. And I kept seeing it on like wrappers and things like that I was buying at like Whole Foods. And I'm like, what is this GMO thing? So I just got on Google, and then bam, there was just all this information. And, I kind of did some research and stuff, and my mind was blown at how unknown this really is. And then on top of that, how deep these companies are going to keep it a secret, to keep that knowledge from people. Can you explain to the viewers what GMOs are?
Sure. Yeah. So basically genetically modified organisms. So it's taking something from its natural state and doing some type of genetic manipulation to it, altering the genes. And they do this for, pest resistance, for weed resistance, different things like that. They're now starting to modify fish. Salmon is now the official first Frankenfish.
Frankenfish, right?
Yeah. And the problem is that really there's been little to no research on what the side effects, long-term, short-term, of these genetically modified organisms might be. And it's going into all of the processed foods that our society eats. And I say our society, I'd say America, because we're the only country, this is so insane, out of how many that embraces GMOs. That there's a huge problem there. But when you have people like Tom Vilsack, who used to be, one of the main guys in Monsanto, who's now your Secretary of Ag, there's a lot of
the head of the FDA and all that stuff.
FDA, I mean, so they're really, everybody knows. Okay, are they? I don't want to get into the big conspiracy thing, but it's about corporations and money, and it's not about health. And in my opinion, I think our society health has been compromised over the last 80 to 100 years. Kind of all started with a downward spiral with the Industrial Revolution brought about the agricultural revolution, and it's where the way we grew food drastically changed. It went into mass production. We started seeing processed food, and and that's where health started to really decline. So if you can avoid GMOs, look for that label. It says GMO free. I definitely would. I try to avoid eating them as much as possible.
Yeah, well, people, when I always get in arguments with people about it, and typically the people who are pro GMO, there's various reasons. I don't want to stereotype them all, but a lot of it is because the price of organic compared to regular food, GMO food. And, so they'll say, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. We've been eating GMOs for thousands of years. And what else? The FDA's approved it, and, it's safe for us and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you're confusing GMOs and hybridization. And a GMO is like they're taking the bacteria or the DNA from an animal and mixing it with a certain vegetable and adding this and this, and like that has it's crazy. It's a science experiment. And the reaches that these people are going to keep it away from common knowledge, and to limit the testing that can be done, and limiting the laws that can be placed, and just the fact that they don't want to let us know it's in our food should tell you something. And the millions of dollars, billions of dollars they're putting into keeping that from our knowledge it should scare people, but it doesn't. So yeah, I'm very pro organic, non-GMO, things like that. I mean, it's how the world always was, till, like you said, till recently, when corporations took over the food system and are trying to churn out these things in mass production. One real quick thing is, I know some of the GMOs, I think it's the GMO corn, what it does is when the grasshopper or whatever eats it, it basically explodes their stomach from the inside. Yep. To kill them. Like, that's crazy.
Well, that's actually something called Bacillus thuringiensis. It's BT, also known as dipel. We actually use it. It's a spray that we can use because it is a biological agent. It's not a chemical or a synthetic agent, right? Mm-hmm. So you spray it on your crops. The caterpillar or any kind of soft-bodied worm consumes it, and it kills them from the inside. It destroys their gut. However, humans, we can eat that stuff we spray within 20 minutes. It's not harmful to us. The problem, though, is that when they make it a genetically modified organism by taking the same bacteria and infusing it into a plant, so do we know if it still has the same effects? Is it harmful to us at that point or not? We don't know. And additionally, there's this whole kind of other layer of issues with GMOs, and that is, it's going to kill genetic diversity, meaning that these strains of plants will take over and cross-pollinate with other non-genetically modified strains, and eventually everything's going to be genetically modified. Mm-hmm. And don't think that's an accident. The people behind GMOs know what's happening, and it's why they're Monsanto's suing farmers for patent infringement. That's ridiculous. It's insane.
Yeah, we definitely need to do a whole episode on GMOs because there's so much more to it, and I don't feel like we could even scratch the surface.
Right?
Yeah, there's so much we could talk about. But yeah, just my biggest advice would be do your research, get on YouTube, get on Google, look it up, and find out for yourself. I mean, that's kind of how I got into it, and there's so much knowledge out there that will really blow people's minds. So. But on that note, it's awesome that you're in that. Sorry, there's like flies all over the place out here. It's driving me crazy. Anyway, so yeah, clean eating, big thing. Now that'll bring me into the next topic. So you already were eating clean, which is a huge part of this lifestyle, especially if you want to be aesthetic, and just healthy overall. Now the other aspect is the weightlifting side. You, over the past year or two, you got into bodybuilding. Can you kind of tell us how that all started?
Yeah. Like I said, I've been eating clean and working out for probably about a year at that point. Before then, I definitely just, was not eating clean. I mean, and it was bad. We're talking like Dunkin' Donuts, iced coffee. Cupid. And donuts like every day. It was awful. But, so eating clean and working out, and one morning I needed the squat rack, and there was a woman working out on the squat rack, and I was like, hey, can I work in with you? And she's like, sure. So she out-squatted me big time, and I was like, wow, that's a nice weight. And she's like, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder. I'm like, oh, cool. And she's like, you do really well as a bodybuilder. You've got a great build. And I was like, really? She's like, well, I'm a trainer. I'm like, really? I'm like, so you could train me? She's like, yeah. So I went home and talked to my partner, and I'm like, hey, I met this trainer. She said, I've got a great build. I do really well bodybuilding. And she said she can train me. What do you think? And the answer was like, do it already. You've been talking about it for 20 years,
So the thought was already in your head. This is
oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, I think since I was like 5 years old, before women's bodybuilding really even existed, I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I mean, I've been fascinated with muscle my entire life. So it was kind of like time was right. The suggestion was made, and I was like, all right. 2 days later, I started training. And that was like August 2 years ago.
And that's just like the story you told earlier about how you got into lifting weights. You're just like, you know what, I'm gonna do something, and then did it. I love
Yeah.
that. So you started training for your first show, or
I
how
did.
was that?
Yeah, so I started training for my first show. Started out with that trainer from the gym. That didn't last real long. I quickly moved on to another trainer. So we're gonna talk about that a bit.
Yeah, we won't say any names, but
No.
yeah, we can definitely talk about those experiences because these are
Yeah.
things that need to be talked about.
So, I'm now on my fifth trainer in 2 years. And it's been the only bad part of my whole bodybuilding journey. I love bodybuilding. I love weightlifting. I'm obsessed when it comes to every aspect of it, the diet, the cardio. It doesn't matter. I am do whatever it takes and, never not give my 100% because I never want to have that doubt or regret or question when I'm on stage. Wow, if I hadn't cheated or if I had actually done my cardio, would it be any better? You know? So it's something I've really dedicated my time and my life to, my energy, my money. And one place that I've constantly been disappointed and people have fallen short has been on the training aspect of it. There's a lot of people out there calling themselves trainers that simply just shouldn't be, and the shame of it is they're taking money, and it's not something that you can just do without a good base of knowledge because you can hurt people, I mean, when you're manipulating diets the way they get manipulated, I've had now 3 of the 4 coaches pretty much put me on a starvation diet for my cuts to get me to where I need to be. Actually, the first one had me at like 1,200 calories and bulking. You can't bulk when you're not getting enough food. You got to have something to convert. Um, so a big part of it, I blame myself because I've kind of gone into it blindly up until now thinking, all right, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to do the diet. I'll do the lifting. I'll do whatever it takes. I want someone to spoon feed me the information. I don't
Yeah,
want to
some
research it.
guidance.
I don't want to figure it out for myself. I want a professional who I'm paying my money to tell me what to do. I'll figure out how to do it later. You know what? But so far, that theology, that theory, has backfired. So as a result of that, I'm now working with a new coach. She's incredible. Her name's Sandy Griffin. She lives in Germany. And I met her on Instagram. She became a great friend. And a couple of weeks ago, when my coach at the time failed, basically was not available, and I had no idea what to do the day of the show, I reached out to her, and it was 8 o'clock at night in Germany, and she said, send me pictures, let me know what you've been doing for the last 2 days as far as diet, and I'll tell you what to do. She was there for me, and she responded, set her alarm every 2 hours through the night to wake up to check in on me. I was almost like, girl, I'm okay. It's all right. Sleep,
Yeah.
But she did what a coach is supposed to do. And I knew this going into it to a degree. I watched that roundtable discussion on Peak Week that you sent me. I don't know how many times now. But I knew that these online coaches, long distance coaches, would, interact and communicate with their athletes throughout the show. They would ask for pictures. They would give them feedback. And that's what I was told was going to happen. Nothing happened. My text didn't get responded to. And I had all this stuff. I had peanut butter and rice cakes and salt and Pedialyte and candy bars. And I'd seen other athletes gobbling down stuff backstage. I didn't know when or why or how, And that's what I needed somebody to do. And,
Just left you hanging. Well, thank goodness your new coach was there to help you out, and that's what a coach should be. Sadly, the bodybuilding industry is it's unregulated, and therefore anyone can just come in and say, "Hey, I'm a coach. Pay me. I'll help you." And I've heard some pretty bad horror stories. I've had some pretty bad experiences myself. What's up, Larry?
Yeah, I was saying we seen that with several people that come on the show, Mighty Mike, and
Kim.
everybody. experienced a lot of the same, and they've said, the same type of experience has happened to them.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the stories I heard was, people saying, okay, I'll be your coach, PayPal me the money, and then they send the money, and then they just disappear.
Wow.
And it's like, what can you do, though? You know what I'm saying? You don't have a contract. You don't have anything solid to where you can take action. And so, I mean, that's a very, extreme scenario. But, I mean, for the most part, it's happening all the time. Like, okay, I did one physique show, and before I started, a friend of mine, Kim Jones, sent me a guy she had heard good things about. He's a pro bodybuilder. So I was like, I'm going to do this competition. I got this pro bodybuilder. Everything is going to be good. And like you said, I'm going to do the work in the gym. I'm going to eat whatever he tells me. I'm going to be disciplined because that's one thing I pride myself in. So I knew I could do it. Anyway, I hired the guy, and let's say in 2 weeks I still hadn't heard anything. And I was like, and what he did was he sent me a text with like, here, eat these things. And I was like, okay. So 2 weeks in, and I'm like, dude, can I get like some workouts? What's the deal? Oh yeah, I'll get that to you. Just keep eating what I said, you'll be fine. And long story short, he just basically he was too busy or whatever you want to call it. And what I noticed is a lot of guys in this industry, they take on all these clients because the more clients is more money.
Sure.
But they only really give 100% devotion to their high profile clients. The guys who are going for pro or already pro. High exposure, things like that. Your average Joes like you and I, we're just numbers. We're just another paycheck. So they're just kind of like, oh yeah, here, look at this, look at that. So anyway, I told the guy, I was like, look, this isn't good business, and I got my money back, and he got upset, whatever. And so then I tried another guy, and he has all these clients, and he's this big name dude. He sends me a cut and paste cookie cutter diet plan, which is like, eat this, eat that, do this workout, this many reps, and I'm like, dude, you don't even know how tall I am, how much I weigh, what my training is like, nothing. And these guys get away with that. And what bugs me the most is they take credit for their guys' hard work. So as they're going along, they're putting in the work in the gym, they're eating food, their coaches are going, yeah, look at my guy, this is me, I'm training him, he's getting lean, when really it's the person, not the coach. So there's a lot of jacked up things in the industry, and Larry and I have definitely got some ideas to help fix that. And you and I have talked about it as well, Gina. But it's just a shame, and good people are getting screwed over. And I mean, you're a perfect example of it. This past show though you were under the new coach, right?
Yep.
And how did that go? Larry's got some pictures.
As far as the show went great. I mean, the way I came in, I felt I looked awesome. Peak week was great. Preceding show 2 weeks earlier, peak week was not so good. I looked like I was dying.
And that's one thing. Peak week is huge, right? People don't realize that. Peak week is a lot of carb manipulation, water, things like that. And especially the day of the show, even throughout the day, all the things you're doing, it's a lot of thought and a lot of science behind it. And not having a coach for that or not know what you're doing is horrible.
Yeah.
So I can imagine how you felt. But so tell me the difference between having this good coach now.
Well, we definitely manipulated carbs, which we didn't do before. Essentially I'd been on a no-carb diet for close to 2 months, about 1,100 calories a day. So again, far too low to safely cut at. So I came in, I was flat that Saturday morning for that first show. So we tried to carb me up once I had talked to my friend that day, and it did to a degree. But the difference was with this last show, we carved me up, and we also fed me the 2 weeks in between, which made a huge difference. I was like, my muscle mass looked extraordinarily huge, like my legs and shoulders, because I had something to fill them up, So that definitely made a big difference, and understanding, when to eat the carb, the rice cakes and the peanut butter, and when to take the salt in, when not to drink water, when to actually start pumping up. Those things made a huge difference. So I think I came in looking great for the show, drastically better than I did in the previous two. I didn't place as well as I'd hoped. But
that's a whole another story on itself.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But I was thrilled with how I looked. I mean, day and night you saw pictures from my show last year, October. So that's awesome.
And that's one thing we had talked about before, because I remember seeing your old pictures from the previous show last year, and I remember thinking, you did look kind of flat. Like I was thinking personally, like your carbs spilled over or something, because you just look kind of soft. Because I'd been seeing you up to that point, and you were looking shredded. And then the day of the show, it was a different story. And I remember we briefly talked about that. And then after you got with this coach you had now, and seeing the difference this past weekend, night and day. It's amazing what a good coach and actually having solid information can do. Now here's a picture from this recent show, and wow, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. You can definitely see, the vascularity, see how defined you are. You look full. Definitely came in looking on top form. I think there's some pictures we have of last year and this year. Okay, so talk us through this right here.
This is that one on the left was when I actually fired the previous coach, who, the only thing I did with him was an off-season bulk, and oh yeah, bulk we did. I put on 35 pounds after my stage last October, and through the duration of this bulking with him, never asked me for a picture. He said, I keep up with you on social media. But I kept telling him, dude, I'm getting fat. I'm like, I have to go out and buy new clothes. Nothing fits. I'm uncomfortable. It's way too much food. I was blending 3-4 meals a day because he had me eating so much I couldn't actually eat it all. And my workout intensity was really low. I mean, so I put on a tremendous amount of weight, much more than I needed to for an off-season. So that is what I looked like at 147 pounds, and that was in April before I started my cut. So I basically cut 35 pounds in about 17, 18 weeks.
Now, you said you started this bulk after that last show, right?
Yep. So that was after the last show in October. So October through March.
Let me ask you something. When you started the bulk, was it like drastic, bam, we're doing all these calories? Or did he do like a reverse diet where he gradually started easing your calories back in? Because your body is so sensitive after being so depleted and getting to such low body fat percentages that, it's a lot of people make this mistake and they just dive right into it and start eating a shit ton, and they put on body fat really fast. And I'm pretty sure that was part of what happened. Now, this is my favorite shot.
Thanks. Yeah,
your back is looking sick. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's definitely a badass pick. Now, Larry, do you have the one? There's one where there's two pictures. I think it's the same pose, and it was like last year's shot compared to this year's shot, and you can just see the difference of what we were talking about as far as like spilling over and kind of coming in flat compared to actually being coached properly and looking your absolute best.
You actually didn't post that. Those are the 4 that I have there.
This is not in the calendar?
No.
Okay. Let me see something real quick. You got anything, Larry? While I look this up real quick. Put him on the spot.
Come on, Larry.
No, sorry. No, but I have been noticing, a lot of your training and the different styles. Because I remember when you were bulking up and everything like that. Um, you can definitely tell. So when you went through with this competition, your trainer was there helping you backstage, or through text message and sending you email back and forth.
Well, that's how it was supposed to work, but none of that transpired. The person, Sandy, actually did that. The competition, the first one, and then this last one, she was, essentially either on Messenger or text message, and that's how we communicated for, throughout peak week, and then definitely the day before the show, I was sending her pictures Friday. I sent her pictures Saturday morning, and she's basically constantly checked in. So yeah, so my new coach is definitely doing all that stuff that you would expect a coach to do.
So what was your body fat at this point?
For the show, I think I didn't get it checked, but compared to where I was last year, I would say I was probably about 5%.
Now, do you have? I'm hearing an echo. Do you have any plans of coaching?
The funny thing is, I've always said I didn't want to be a prep coach or a bodybuilding coach, but my recent experiences has kind of pushed me in that direction. I've got a lot to learn yet, so I will not do it until I feel that I am, qualified and have enough experience, because I don't want to make the same mistakes that have happened with me. But I think I'll be able to provide what Sandy provides and what few coaches do, which is service, and knowledge. For me, coming into this and to have such horrible disappointments over and over again with my coaches, this is my life dream, and I tell them that. And to me, the worst thing you could ever do to somebody is, A, take their money and not provide what you're taking it for. That's just ripping them off, right? And then two, if you know this is somebody's dream and they know what goes into this, I mean, it's heart and soul and time and energy and blood and sweat and tears and, and to not give somebody everything that you should, that just blows my mind. I don't know how they sleep at night,
And what bothers me the most is, this isn't just something you do like, oh, God, this thing, hold on one sec. Technical difficulties. All right, so yeah, people put in months and months and months of sacrifice, hard work. They're really doing so much, and to be left high and dry like that, and have all that preparation time, all that dedication, and you step on stage and you're not ready, or you're not properly prepared because a coach is not taking you serious, or dicking you around. It's just it's sad. It's such a slap in the face. Now this is the picture right here. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I was going to say it's indicative of what you see all around the industry in various, it repeats itself just over and over again. The bring up Streds, that's a perfect example of what goes on at all levels in the industry. There's people getting ripped off kind of everywhere, because there's people that are really trying to do something, and then, they because they don't know, they get taken advantage of, and they get out there and they get on stage and they look a fool after trying so hard, or they work really hard and then end up giving up because someone took advantage of them, and that type of thing. Even with supplements, we've seen that happen where people try to come out with supplements and they've been screwed over by the people that they're working with because they didn't know the industry well enough, and they get taken for thousands of dollars trying to do something that they think will work because they didn't know the right people, and the people that they thought they knew just were trying to take advantage and kind of being like predators essentially.
Yeah, I mean, if you come into something that you're new to, you're obviously not going to know all these things. And in my situation, after those first two guys, I mean, that was right before I even started, and I eventually just said, fuck it, I'm going to do it on my own, and research and things like that. And you can do that, but there's nothing like having a good coach who can, help you based off of their experiences and help you avoid mistakes they've made and, you know, things that they've seen. You know, there's nothing like that. And that's one thing that Larry and I are definitely going to, you know, brainstorm, and we got some ideas we're going to come up with and really try to help change that in the industry, because it really is a shame. But it's good to get that story out there and have people like yourself share from your experiences and help people, you know, possibly avoid this in the future. But you said that's basically been the only negative you've seen in this bodybuilding lifestyle, right?
Yeah, you know, otherwise, I mean, I've met incredible people, made some awesome friends. There's a huge support network out there. I mean, you've built one, 23,000 people now. You know, so it's other than the coaching element, it's been great. And you know, and until there's some type of platform, of facility for people to say, hey, you know, I would recommend this person, I wouldn't recommend that person. I think the best thing we can do as athletes is get informed and educated. And that's, again, I said earlier, that's where I made my mistake. So definitely, you know, correcting that one and educating myself as much as possible. You know, and eventually, yeah, I'd like to coach. I would like to help other people achieve their dreams and, you know, be a good one.
And it seems like anything you put your mind to, you do well in, and you dedicate yourself in. So I don't see that being any different. I think you'd make a great coach. But real quick, this is the picture that I was mentioning earlier from your show before, and then compared to this time around.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
October 2015 and now. So yeah, huge difference. So, you know, and as exciting as it is to get lean and to get on stage, I'm excited about off season, because I know that means there's, you know, I'm going to grow more muscle. Mm-hmm. I still want to put on more of my legs. My hamstrings and my glutes are always a huge focus. I'd like to develop a little more lat. So, you know, definitely have some goals for the off season, and you know, it's 8-9 more months to bring back something even better. So, you know, it's an awesome process. You know, we talk about loving the process and trusting the process all the time. You know, but it's cool. You know, you get to see what you're able to do and create, you know, with your own body, and I love that part of it.
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely an experience I would definitely suggest to most people. Like, I like powerlifting, but it was definitely something I wanted to try out, and I did it more for the Barbell Life. But like, just being able to look back on that and seeing what you're capable of, and seeing, you know, testing yourself and you know, the discipline it takes and all the little things that happen, and watching yourself transform like that is just insane. You know, seeing just veins in places you've never seen before is crazy.
It is. It's like every day it's like something new. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know that.
New veins, sweet. I didn't even know that existed there. Now you're talking about goals. I know one of your goals is to become a pro bodybuilder, right, and get that pro card. And I definitely see that coming soon. This past competition you were in, you got 3rd place, but based off of the pictures, I know myself and some people in the group and people you've talked to, it looks like you may have gotten a bad decision on that one. But needless to say, you definitely came in looking great. Now, when is your next competition? Do you think you're gonna go for?
Definitely gonna do Masters Nationals next year. It's July in Pittsburgh. Okay. I might do a show maybe 2 or 3 weeks as a little primer right before it, and if I do, that might just be something local. But definitely focus on Masters. You know, I can get into my age class, and the top in the age group gets pro cards. So there's several pro cards that come out of that show. So I think that's probably my best opportunity. So definitely going to do that, and you know, depending on what happens there, I might, you know, come back and do North Americans after that, because they have master categories for pro cards there as well.
And where's North Americans at?
Same place, Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Yep. Now you're out in Florida though, right?
Yeah.
That's a journey.
Yeah, it'll be the first show I travel long distance to. So we need to refine the packing process. We take so
Yeah.
much stuff. I'm like, we're going for 2 days, and I've got like this entire Jeep full of stuff.
It's like a whole suitcase just for like the day of the show stuff.
Yep.
Rice cakes and peanut butter and stuff.
The important
Okay.
stuff.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and you know, we definitely want to get you back on. Like I said, there's still a lot we can talk about. Um, hey, Larry, you got that picture from me and Gina took at the gym? I want to slap that on there real quick.
You sure you want to do that?
I know I'm gonna hear it. Oh man,
so much grief for this picture.
she's got bigger arms than you, and I was like, killing me.
It's a camera angle.
I'll say this though, when we worked out together that day, I was thoroughly impressed because you were like a little freaking pit bull, like slinging all this weight and just, come on, let's go, let's get another one in, let's go hit that. I was just like, whoa, all right, I'm following your lead. And you really were a beast. I was impressed, very impressed.
It was definitely fun.
You're like a little stick of dynamite, you know. I first saw you, I was like, all right, this little thing, I'll take it easy on her. And then I was trying to keep up with you. I was like, I wasn't planning on lifting heavy. And you're like, oh, you're slinging around 60s and shit. I was like, okay, fuck, I guess I am. Can't have her show me up. But that was a good time. I look forward to doing some other things in the future. Do you want to do any shout outs or sponsors, anything like that?
Definitely shout out to my partner Tanya. I mean, the people that are behind the scenes that put up with us through preps and stuff. I mean, a lot of credit go to them as well. Definitely Sandy Griffin, my new coach and friend. To you for giving me this awesome platform and community to do my thing in. And there's been so many good friends at the gym and friends I've made here that have been so incredibly supportive. I mean, people that you don't even know, and a lot of love and encouragement, and when I'm having an off day, there's always somebody here in the BBL to pick you up, and that's awesome. So a lot of good folks, and there's so many I can't mention them by name. Sponsor-wise, one of our local businesses just hooked me up with an awesome workout suit to wear to my shows. So that's been cool. Nice. So hoping to get more sponsors. I'm sure that'll come in time.
What is the name of that store?
Yeah, it's called the Print Shack, and it's a local printer, and they, the last minute hooked me up with a really cool tracksuit, and so that was awesome of them.
Okay. Well, shout out to the Print Shack.
Yeah.
Like I said, great to have you on the show. Definitely plan on doing some things together. And for you guys out there, Gina's going to be helping us out with the Barbell Life meet and greet. So yeah. I know you got a lot of experience in that department, so it's going to be awesome. So when you enjoy what we put together, a lot of that's going to go because of Gina. So
can't wait.
Looking forward to that. What's that, Larry?
I said definitely.
And on that note, Larry, you want to take it from here?
Sure. So as you guys know, we have been in the process, and we're finally getting to the point where we can start doing pre-orders. So definitely look. We should get the signal. We're hoping for the good news come Monday morning that we can start the pre-orders. So if you guys, check those emails, pay attention to the post, because I know it's been a long, long road here where we've been saying, we're going to get this or that, but we're about rounding out there to where we can definitely say, we've gotten beyond any label issues or anything like that, and so now we will be getting the supplement, the pre-orders for the supplements out there, and we'll have good stuff with that. So as you guys know, the 3 supplements that we're going to be launching with, we have Plutonium, our pre-workout, and our post-workout chain reaction, and then we also will have our fat burner, which is Thermite, which will be out there. And then we have another one which we will be coming out, Noctogen. And Noctogen is our post-workout one, which is pretty awesome. So we'll be giving the details for Noctogen and email shortly. So stay tuned to that.
Yeah, so email subscribers, get on barbellnutrition.com. You'll be getting anything that has to do with the Barbell Life. You know, information about the shows, about the group, the events we got coming, discounts, Barbell Life only discounts on the supplement line. We actually have a video that we're editing right now. We're going to be breaking down the supplements, telling you what's in them, what they do, how they help you, things like that. So all that's going to go to the email subscribers, so definitely get in on that. And without further ado, appreciate everyone coming to the show. Again, thank you, Gina. You've been a great guest.
Thanks.
And look forward to all the things we got going forward. So we're out.
Right on. Later.
Bye, everybody.